My alliance's leader just became king of the kingdom in the intense global military exercise for Age of Empires Mobile. Over the past few days, I pushed power from Town Center 1 all the way to Town Center 27. I trained hundreds of thousands of troops, and I built multiple commander and talent and equipment combinations, and got to try out many of the game's new modes that have been added since my last sponsored video. So in this video, sponsored by the makers of Age of Empires Mobile, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks to power up, and I'll share with you my journey of battling for King of the Kingdom, taking the Imperial city for the very first time. And you can use my link in the description to download the game and pre-register for the global launch on 10/17. That's October 17th. Although this event took place on a test server with hundreds if not thousands of players, there's a lot that I learned using the speed ups and resources that were provided to me. And one of the first things that I learned, as is the case in many city building war games, is that you always want to be efficient. And efficiency comes frequently in many forms. The first form of efficiency that you don't want to miss out on is upgrading your university frequently and also as early as possible. Why is that? Well, the university does a couple things for you. First and foremost, it unlocks your ability to research more advanced technology, but also it just gives you more research speed. And what sorts of things are you researching? Well, obviously higher tiers of troops are high on the list. I got all the way to tier 5 troops for the global military exercise, but the further you get in the tree, the more expensive things become in terms of the number of days of speed ups. So, of course, you've got economic technology that can help you here. Now, the economic technology that I cared about the most is the research speed and the building speed. As shown on screen here, you can get some moderate buffs to start, but later on, those buffs become much more meaningful. Research speed 2 is giving me another 7.5% research speed. And there is more that I could go and get here, research speed 3, which is something that if this account were going to be one that I'd run long term, yes, I would want to do this as soon as I possibly could. So my game plan was to basically, as soon as I unlocked the ability to get more research speed, do that, and then go and get the associated building speed increase. But there is one other way you can save a ton of speed ups, and that is by upgrading your embassy. The embassy is where you are going to get helps from other players. It's called Alliance Assist Chances. And you can see by going from 24 to 25, I get 1 extra Alliance Assist chance. That is going to, for every bit of research you do, every building you build, every person who helps you will reduce the amount of total time by a moderate amount. Now, it's not going to be, like an 80% reduction of the total time, but, you save hours or days or, more depending on how long the research takes or the building takes. It's definitely worth doing. Now, most of the building, you will be sort of guided through what you need to upgrade because your town center is the main thing you're going to push power with. And you're going to need specific buildings to upgrade your town center. Like right now, I need to do the hospital. And for every level of town center, you will always need to upgrade your wall, and your wall will always require you to upgrade your tavern. So for the most part, you are kind of on the rails if you follow along with what the game insists that you should upgrade in order to push your town hall level, which lets you get higher and higher university level, which lets you get higher and higher tiers of troops. The other form of efficiency does come from the university yet again. It is research, as I mentioned, but it is troop training efficiency. So you can see here right away, you get troop training speed, but also the further along you get, there will be more opportunities to get troop training speed. Here it is again, all unit types training speed. This is a pretty meaningful boost. So one of the things I did when I popped into this server is I first built up my buildings and did research that was focused on economy. Then I went back and I did my military research, and then I went and I trained lots of troops. All right. Now, after you train your troops, and there are 4 types of troops in this game, you've got your cavalry, okay, and you've got your archers, you've got your swordsmen, and you've got your pikemen. My personal favorite is pikemen, and we've just got to the tip of the iceberg for powering up. The next thing I went and I did is I picked out some marches to use in the open field. Now, thankfully, the game's got recommendations for who to pair together. So I knew I wanted to use Leonidas. And so I went over here and I tapped this little button in the bottom left, and they've got recommendations for who to pair together, which is pretty sick. So you can see I've actually built the counterattack and pikeman group fight combination here with the legendary heroes. I used Leonidas, I used Joan, and I used Freddy. Yes, Freddy and I are on a first name basis. We don't have to go by the formal name, okay? So I use that combo, and it shows you like, hey, you could switch things around, and each commander in this game has optional skills. Each hero has optional skills, and they even make recommendations for which of the optional skills to use. Now, these skills can get leveled up multiple ways. As I mentioned, these skills that you can choose from, like for example, this particular skill over here, I got to upgrade the star level on this skill to increase its effectiveness. That's why the stars are red, but also I can hit more skills, and you see I've got choices. So something I really like about this game is you can customize the commander, and this adds a level of complexity as well, because you know, the more you can customize, the more complex the game is inherently, which is why it's so nice the game's just got the recommendations built in. They're like, hey, try this, see if you like it. And of course from there you can make adjustments based on your understanding of the game. But I chose these particular skills, and you can also level them up using skill points. And one thing that was really cool that I saw is no matter which skill I switch to, it's going to be level 40. So you're kind of leveling up the skill slot, not the skill itself, which was really, really nice. With the exception, of course, of going to Red Star, that was for that specific skill. Whew! So I chose the skills, I leveled them up, and there's more. Because I also leveled up the hero, took him to max level. That is guided in part by the level of some of your buildings. And I also went and maxed out his advancement. Now I'm on a test server, so I got a bunch of this stuff. Just every single day, every player on the test server got these things. But if you were playing in a real server, you would be getting the materials you need to do this from different events, from the tavern, and so on. Kind of depends on the hero, all right? So I took him to the max level of advancement, but if I wanted to show you here another hero, like Hammurabi, if I want to buff him here, I need more of his medals. And I happen to have some of the medals that you can exchange from being on the test server. So I could say, give me 150 of these medals, redeem. We've got them, convert them over to be Hammurabi medals, and we can advance him here, all right? So I smash the advance button, hit confirm, and every time I do this, I'm getting a little bit of a buff. In this case, it's to his might, and then boom, he's ranked up, which also gives me another bonus, all right? Very, very cool. Taking him to rank 5 matters more for some heroes than for others. We won't get into that now. The final thing I did, nope, there's actually 2 more things. The next thing I did to get ready for the big fights that took place and to power up was to select hero talents. And what's interesting is that your talents on every hero actually matters for your fighting in this game. So unlike other games where all that matters is the talents on the primary, the talents on every single hero matters. And the talent trees for the heroes are very, very similar. So at first when I saw this, I was extremely intimidated, but it actually was very, very easy to do. And my pro tip for you is very simply to figure out like, hey, do you want to PvP? And if you're gonna PvP, do they care about might or do they care about strategy? And heroes typically care about one or the other. And you just sort of move all in on the might-based stuff, the damage taken, the damage dealt, etc. Like these trees look fairly complicated, but they were pretty straightforward actually. And once you get to know the game, it's pretty darn cheap to reset the talents if you wanted to go and do that. Now from here, I went and I worked on equipment, and I'll pull Leonidas back on screen here. You saw that I've got the Leonidas, Joan of Arc, and Freddy combo. For Leonidas, I started to work on some equipment, and the equipment system is fun and easy to understand in this game. Basically, you want lots of duplicates of the same equipment in order to power it up. So you can use duplicates, as I can show you here on this particular piece, to upgrade the advancement level. Just like we could do on a hero, we can do that here on equipment. That unlocks different tiers of buffs. You can see that to start this chain of upgrades, I need 3 of this same legendary chess piece. So you basically sacrifice pieces that are equivalent to upgrade the one you want to upgrade. I've already done that once on this Master of Death chess piece, and of course I have leveled it up a fair amount, which is giving me stats, and I have customized it with special gems that get embedded into it. Whew! Now that was a lot of stuff to learn, and at first it seemed really complicated, and there's certainly things here that I still need to understand with the way that I could maximize the effectiveness of my heroes with these gem customizations. But once you start doing it, you really get the hang of it. And I did that for Leonidas, I did it for Joan, I did it for Hammurabi, and one other thing that you can do is you can get the ring, okay? Without getting into all the details of how the ring works, it's more buffs for your hero, all right? And that comprises your gear, and your gear on every hero matters for your battles, all right? Now, the next thing I did is I said, man, one set of hero combos is good. And the next 3 hero combo I chose was to start with Miyamoto. I wanted to do something with swordsman, and I thought this dude looked cool, so I was like, let's make a combo with him. So I went to the recommended options here, and I went with the warrior and swordsman samurai option. And from here, I did a couple swap outs. I don't have Constantine, so I swapped in Harold. I wanted to use Hammurabi, so I swapped him in as well. And there we go. That's the combo that I built, just like that. So with this framework in mind, I went and I did all the same upgrades for these heroes, and now I had 2 marches ready to go. I had pikemen, I had infantry. I certainly would have wanted to do the whole exercise for all the other troop types, but before I show you the battle for the Imperial City, let me just show you really quickly that at the Forge, here is how you make that equipment, okay? So you can get specific patterns and you can queue them up. You also can get things that make it so that you get random rewards. So like a random pattern. So I can go and queue up forging for this particular piece using the random legendary blueprint. And I can speed this up, or I could just wait for it to finish. But when I speed this up, I can find out what I got. And, oh, actually amazing. Pikeman, huge. Pikeman attack bonus up. I could literally just do this all day, going and, if I had unlimited materials, just seeing kind of what I'm getting and then upgrading equipment. Swordsman helmet, huge, dude, huge. So there are a bunch of events that have been added to the game since I first played it that help you power up. And I just want to talk about some of these very briefly. One of them is that you go to your watchtower and you do exploration. Exploration is a series of quests. These refresh periodically. There are different types, from combat to scouting to even just having a conversation, and they give you really good rewards. You're going to want to jam through these whenever they're available. And this also levels up the challenge level of your exploration. So you can see over here that as I go and do this, my exploration level will increase, all right? The next thing that I learned, and is new to the game since I originally played, is the Island Tactics game mode. This is basically a game mode where you will passively farm up rewards, and the amount you get per hour is based on how many of these levels you've gotten through. And if I hit challenge, I can just show you what one of these challenges looks like. But you essentially have a sort of scenario, you drop your heroes in, you do battle, and hopefully you beat the level. And each level very incrementally increases the difficulty from the next. So you can see here, my 3 marches that I used previously would be deployed here. I can actually add a 4th march if only I had sort of a competent 4th march. I really kind of don't. You'd certainly want to do that. And you smash battle and you go through here. I can do this at 3x speed because I have done this a bunch of times, and I haven't actually set a particular order here for how I'm doing this, but I suspect I'm going to absolutely dominate this. And it's kind of a bad call on my part to not be always pushing the level of this. Like, you want to be as leveled as you possibly can. Anytime you get an upgrade, you want to see if you can get further in this game mode, because it increases the amount of passive rewards you can get, and just for doing it, you get a bunch of rewards as well. So I'm going to exit out of that for now, but one thing that you do with all the currency you're getting is you go to the store. And this is where you can get a bunch of stuff for equipment. Like, you want to do one of those legendary blueprints we were just talking about? I can get one from here, right? There's a bunch of really important things that you can get actually from this particular store. And man, there are so many things. I showed you equipment. I showed you rings. We talked about sockets. There's also other game mods that they've added, which, like, I want to spend more time playing, but I haven't had I could just spend forever doing this. There's the Apex Arena, which is huge. The military exercise. Like, there are so many things to do to power up, okay? But I got done so much in preparation for this big fight. Let's talk about how that went. The structure that you're ultimately battling for is the Imperial City. The Imperial City determines who will be the king of the kingdom. But you don't just get to stroll up and take the thing. You've got to battle other people for contention and hold it for an hour in order to be crowned the king. Now, one way that you can make sure that you're the king is by making sure that no one else can teleport anywhere near the Imperial City to contest it. And so another alliance had built flags next to ours, next to the Imperial City. So we fought them. And we battled for one flag in particular initially, giving us a little bit of space. We took out this flag, we rallied, we garrisoned. It was very fun skirmishes. But then the leadership built a flag instead over here, and we were able to cut their entire line, making it completely inactive, no longer connected to the rest of their territory, which was a pretty cool play. Now, after we took out the opposition, we then did work on the Imperial City itself. There's 4 gates guarding the Imperial City, 1 in each cardinal direction. We had rallied down each of the gates. You don't want to swarm them. And after the rally took out the gate, you take down the durability of the wall and it will crumble. When the wall crumbles, you enter into the sea, battling the guardians that are within the city's premises, and you run a rally on the Imperial City itself. Our rally came through, we took this thing down, and after holding it for an hour, we became the victors, the first ones to hold the Imperial City in the global military exercise. So all in all, there are a remarkable number of ways to gain power and effectiveness in Age of Empires Mobile. And if you want to check it out for yourself, use my link in the description to download the game. A big thank you again to the makers of Age of Empires Mobile for sponsoring this video. And if you want to join my global start group, we've got a huge group forming for 10/17, the launch of the game. Already there's hundreds of people in the Discord server. I'll have a link for that down below in the description. That is for my specific group. I'll also have a link for the official Age of Empires Mobile Discord server down below as well. And if you want to check out my other videos about Age of Empires Mobile, where I was experiencing it for the very first time, check these cards in the end screen, here and here. The Age of Empires Mobile IP is really cool. In fact, I got flown out to Gamescom, which was pretty sick, to talk about Age of Empires Mobile and present with the makers of the game. I'll have a card for that over here as well. You can check it out.